We interrupt this broadcast to inform you that you are in imminent danger. Please do not panic. At this time there is an entity approaching your location. This entity is extremely dangerous, so please carry out the following instructions. Lock and secure all doors and windows. Shut off any sources of noise. Find a safe enclosed space such as a basement, closet, or attic. If the entity happens to spot you, avoid eye contact. We repeat, if the entity happens to spot you, avoid eye contact. Do not attempt to leave your house. Do not attempt to call for help. Do not attempt to confront the entity. Once the smell of sulfur fades, you are safe. Take action now.
This is the scary story about Where's My Phone? One night, a girl named Jenna was home watching TV when she noticed she did not know where her phone was. She looked everywhere, but she couldn't find it. Jenna then called her cell phone from her home phone to see if she could hear it ringing. But right when it started to ring, somebody answered it immediately. Jenna froze in horror as she heard heavy breathing coming from the other line. Just then, Jenna heard a bump coming from upstairs. She then grabbed a knife from the kitchen and started walking up the stairs. When Jenna walked into her room upstairs, she saw her phone sitting right on her bed with a note next to it that said, "I decided to wait till later to kill you. I'll see you soon." These are scary things to do with your friends, part 2. This is a scary phone number called Susie, and it's 2020-2020. Once you dial this number, you will hear a female voice that sounds extremely creepy, and she will then be screaming, help me, Susie's dying." Sometimes when the woman is saying this, it could change into a very deep demonic tone, making it even more scary. And there are reports of the woman even threatening the caller, saying, "Help me, Susie is drowning. If you don't help me, I will kill you in your sleep." Is this woman a real person, and what happened to Susie? Some questions will never be answered, but if you and your friends want to get a little creeped out, just call this number. This is the scary story about the crying. There was a man named Jeff who never got any sleep. Every night when he tried to go to sleep, his baby daughter always cried. Jeff tried to block out the crying by putting a pillow over his head, but it didn't work. Night after night, his daughter's crying never stopped. He didn't know how to stop it or what to do. It was driving him completely insane. Jeff then moved houses, hoping this would stop the baby from crying, but it didn't. Ever since Jeff killed his daughter, he hears her crying everywhere he goes, but he cannot escape it. It's been 3 years since he did it, and he still hears his baby crying the same way it was when he killed it.
Here's another example of animals not letting disrespect slide. So there used to be a dolphin named Chow. Chow was a male bottlenose dolphin that had gotten used to being around people and would often visit a Brazilian pier to hang out with them. But of course, people started harassing the dolphin, dragging him onto shore, and at one point even trying to pour ice cream and beer down its blowhole. That's not supposed to go in there. It's almost like they forgot that dolphins are several hundred-pound shark assaulting sadists with pretty privilege. And it wasn't until Chow had enough and sent nearly 30 people to the hospital in the span of only a couple months that they remembered. But one day in December 1994, 2 men swam right up to Chow, and Chow was unusually calm and friendly towards them despite the harassment he was previously receiving. And as soon as the men let their guard down, Chow proceeded to fade them 2v1. Chow rammed his beak into one man so hard that he shattered a couple of his ribs. The other man became past tense after Chow caused him to bleed internally. Chow was never seen on that beach again, causing researchers to believe he either chose to leave for good or someone managed to put him out as revenge. Moral of the story? The dolphin dolphined.
Creepy facts you didn't know about. If we held a minute of silence for every victim of the Holocaust, we would be silent for 11.5 years. You can tell if you're dreaming or not by looking around for a clock. Clocks never appear in dreams cause there is no sense of time. If you're home alone and you hear familiar voices call out your name, it is most likely a spirit trying to communicate. If you're driving late at night and you see someone distorted looking standing on the side of the road, chances are they could be a skinwalker. Do not look in the mirror at 3 a.m. It is known as the devil's hour. You may not be looking at your reflection. 151,600 people died every day. That means that in the amount of time it took you to fully read this sentence, approximate about 19 people died. You could be next.
These are the chances of dying at different ages, part 1. Up first is 16 years old. You have a 1 in 1400 chance of dying at this age. At 16, you can legally drive a car in the United States, which ups the danger factor a lot. So if you're 16 and just got your license, please be careful. Next up is 18 years old. You have a 1 in 950 chance of dying at this age. This is because since you became a legal adult, you have a lot more responsibilities you have to deal with on your own, which comes with an array of health risks.
Normal looking photos that have a disturbing backstory, part 10. Ronaldo Dogsa, a politician in the Philippines, took a picture of his family right before he was assassinated on New Year's Day in 2011. The man in the back shot him twice while his family was forced to watch. The man holding the puppy is Yukio Araki, a kamikaze pilot who just one day later would crash into the USS Brian, killing 66 of the crew members and taking his own life. Yukio was only 17 years old, knowing completely well that he'd be going to his death the next day. The smiling man in this photo is Nazi Joseph Goebbels, who is in a 1933 League of Nations meeting, and in the next photo, his expression completely changes. His expression changes from cheerful to hatred because someone told him that the photographer was of Jewish descent. This seemingly normal photo shows 3 men in judo attire. The man on the right, however, is Osama bin Laden, the terrorist responsible for the 9/11 attacks on New York City.
Creepy facts about the ocean you didn't know about. Only about 20% of the ocean has been discovered until now. Maybe there are sea monsters in the ocean. No one knows because the ocean is too big. The deepest part of the ocean is approximately 36,200 feet, 11,030 meters deep. Hydrothermal vents, also known as deep sea vents, can reach up to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Just 1 milliliter of ocean water can contain approximately 10 million viruses. In fact, the number of viruses in the ocean outnumbers the amount of stars in the Milky Way. Submarines have heard unexplained sounds in the ocean. This is one of them in the Mariana Trench.
Most scary games to play in real life, part 14. This is the hosting game. This is a ghost game that allows you to summon 3 ghosts. To play, you need matches, a pencil, and a sheet of paper. Now find a room in your house with no windows, and now you can begin. To start the game, you have to turn off all electronics, wait until it's dark outside, now turn off all the lights in the house, except for the room you're in. Now walk room to room in your house, and keep saying, "I'll be ready soon." Now when you get back to the room, write the following on a sheet of paper. You are invited to a gathering. Hosted by, then write your name. It takes place and then write the current time. Bring your friends. Place the sheet of paper in the middle of the room, and then stand in the doorway saying, "I am ready, you may come in." Now take out 3 matches. If the match lights on the first try, say, "I am glad to see you, thanks for coming." Now do this for all. If the matches don't light on the first attempt, it means you invited bad spirits. You must immediately turn on the lights and get out of the room. And if you ever look at the ghosts, you will never be seen again. This is the scary truth of what's going to happen in 2021. This is Nostradamus. He is a French astrologer and doctor who accurately predicted some of the most world-changing events in the last 100 years. From Adolf Hitler's rise to power to the atomic bomb and more. And his predictions for 2021 are absolutely terrifying. Nostradamus says there will be a zombie apocalypse. He said Russia will make a biological weapon and it will turn humans into zombies, eventually causing us to go extinct. He then said water level on Earth will increase tremendously, causing all land to go underwater, and it will then lead to war because we will fight over the last natural resources. He also said an asteroid will hit Earth on May 6th, 2021. Finally, he said that soldiers will have chips in their head and they will be called super soldiers, and their purpose will be to save the human race from all the bad stuff that is going to happen this year.
A man was in a cemetery in Serbia when all of a sudden he started hearing strange sounds coming from inside a grave, and this is what he captured on camera. Check this out.
Gospode Bože, kakvi su ovo zvuci? Je li realno ovo? Kuku, gospode, ovo je horor. Horor, trauma, brate mili, trauma.
That same week, he went home, and while refurbishing his home, he found a very strange object. And
Onako
this
nešto potrefi,
is what he found.
nije slučajno. Koliko je rekao od vrata? 1,20 m ispred ulaznih vrata od kuće. Vidi da nije ništa slučajno. Što ima tkanina crna. Pa su idioti stavili unutra. Neki papirić.
He found a piece of paper, some hair, and while doing all of this, he felt this was some sort of black magic or some sort of curse. This is what he found. Check this out. Really creepy. Now.
Malo mi je gadno što diram. Evo. I kako je moguće da čovjek potrefi? Evo.
This is the scary game to play in real life called the Stairs game. The Stairs game is a sinister ritual. This game is very dangerous, and I do not recommend anybody playing it. But if you do, please be careful. You can play this game at any time of the day, but it's better at night. You will need a blindfold to blindfold yourself with, and a flight of stairs. To start the game, you have to be on the lowest step, and say these words out loud. I come before you today, Lucifer. Open the gates of your kingdom for me. You have to repeat that 6 times in order to start the game. Now put your blindfold on and start going up the stairs. Count every stair one by one. Do not forget the number you get. Then repeat it going down the stairs. Keep doing this until you have more stairs going down. You will then start sweating and hearing whispering voices. Now you're in the underworld. You will then hear a deep voice from an entity asking you what do you want. You then tell him, and when you complete the game, it will come true. But if you fall at any time, you are stuck in the underworld forever. This is the scariest story about the call. There was a girl named Sophia who was in elementary school. It was the end of lunch break and she was sitting in class talking to her friends, when her teacher suddenly came over to her with a pale, serious face. She said, "Sophia, I have some bad news. Your mother was in an accident at work. Get your things and go to the principal's office now." Sophia was shocked and didn't know what to think, but she packed her bag and went anyways. The principal was waiting for Sophia in his office. He said, "I just got off the phone with your father. He told me your mother was badly injured. He's rushing to the hospital right now and he's going to pick you up on his way. You will wait outside and he will pick you up. Now hurry along." Sophia then said, "But sir, I don't have a father. We are a single parent family. My dad died when I was a baby." The principal's jaw then dropped. After that, Sophia's mother then came to the school and complained. And she was completely fine and wasn't injured at all. The police were then called and nobody was able to walk home that day. To this day, Sophia still wonders who the mystery man was who called, and what he planned to do with her once he managed to get his hands on her.
Disturbing facts that are guaranteed to freak you out. The United States military has lost at least 3 nuclear bombs, meaning that there are 3 nuclear bombs that have never been found. In Cameroon in 1986, a potential landslide produced a huge cloud of carbon dioxide to emit from a lake. And that cloud of CO2 ended up killing 1,700 people in their sleep. And lastly, this one is super gross, but it is possible for a human being to become so constipated that they begin throwing up feces.
Yo, what's up? These are scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 19. There's actually a drug known as crocodile or crocodile that will cause your skin or flesh to decay while you're still living. That's why it's called crocodile or crocodile, because it gives it kind of a scaly pattern, making you look like an animal. Or a zombie. There's actually a place where people are being held in liquid nitrogen tanks in hopes of bringing them back in the future while they're still living. You see, their bodies are basically frozen, including MLB legend Ted Williams. There's actually a location in Ecuador called the Swing at the End of the World, and it's located off the side of a cliff in which you swing off of 2,600 miles above the ground. Oh yeah, also this takes place with no safety measures, so it's just the swing. This last one's actually a picture of a gas chamber from the Holocaust in which Jews were clawing the wall in pain and distress. Rest in peace.
This is a creepy story about the crack in the door. There was a young girl named Jess who was in bed one night. She was just about to fall asleep when she heard a very loud bang coming from downstairs. Then she heard footsteps coming up the stairs. Jess was extremely scared and did not know what to do. So she opened her closet door and went inside. She was hoping whatever was in her house wouldn't find her in the closet. Just then, Jess heard her bedroom door open and footsteps enter the room. Then suddenly through the crack in the closet door appeared her mom's face and she said, "Jess, honey, it's okay to come out now. You're safe." Jess was frozen in fear and did not know what to do. She knew that wasn't her mom because her mom has been dead for months. This is the scary story about the bad dream. One night, a little girl went into her parents' bedroom while they were asleep. She then shook her dad and said, "Daddy, I had a bad dream." Her father blinked his eyes and then sat up in bed. The digital alarm clock glowed red in the darkness and it was 3:33 a.m. Her father then asked her if she wanted to get in bed and talk about it. She then said, "No, Daddy." The oddness of the situation made her father wake up fully. He could barely make out his daughter's pale form, outlined in the light from the doorway. "Why not, sweetie?" he asked. The little girl then began to cry. "Because in my dream, when I told you about my dream, the thing wearing mommy's skin sat up," she said. For a moment, he felt paralyzed, unable to take his eyes off his daughter. Then he felt the covers behind him slowly beginning to shift.
Disturbing facts that will creep you TF out. You are always 6 minutes away from death. Breathing resets that clock. 3M is known as the devil's hour because it is said that during this hour the veil between our world and the paranormal world is at its thinnest. Lapel divide is when you have self-destructive thoughts for a split second. For instance, picturing yourself swerving into oncoming traffic or jumping off of a bridge, although you never really would do it. Jamais vu is the opposite of déjà vu. This is when you feel like you're seeing or experiencing something for the first time despite rationally knowing that you've seen or done it before.
Blood-curdling facts that'll give you nightmares. Many doctors have said that the most common last words that they hear are, "I don't feel so good." Most of the laughing sound effects that you hear on TV shows were recorded in the 1950s, meaning that most of those people that you hear laughing are probably dead. During the French Revolution, it was said that the guillotine had to be used multiple times to get the job done. The reason why planes shut their lights off right before they land is so that the passengers' eyes can adjust to the dark just in case there's a crash. This is so that if the power goes off during the crash landing, they can better find an escape route.
Blood-curdling facts that you wish you never knew. Hundreds of thousands of bodies have either been lost or buried at sea, so every time you swim in the ocean, you're basically bathing in a graveyard. Chainsaws were originally invented for childbirth. Female mummies in ancient Egypt were always decomposed more than the male ones, and this is because the male bodies were embalmed a lot sooner while the female bodies were kept at the family home until they started to decompose a little bit. And this was to prevent people from having sex with the dead female bodies. Vlad the Impaler was called this because he would place his enemies ass first on pointed poles that would slowly skewer them to death. Fatal familial insomnia is a disease where a person literally cannot go to sleep no matter what they take or what they do. The symptoms get progressively worse until they die of exhaustion. And for the last one, you might want to look up who invented blow-up dolls. There was a woman in the 18th century named Mary Toft who shoved dead rabbits inside of her and later acted as if she gave birth to them. And the doctors actually believed her until one of them discovered corn inside one of the rabbit's stomachs.
These are scary apps that you should never download. Up first is the Death Alert app. This app contains a database of a lot of people, and when one of them dies, you get an alert where your phone will literally scream at you. You would then be shown the dead person's name, age, and cause of death. What's super creepy is when a person dies, your phone's background automatically changes to a childhood picture of them. Next is the Girls Around Me app. This app allows you to view the location of women on a map and see all their public info and photographs. This app is super disturbing, and it's technically spying on girls. Finally is the app Creepy. This app allows you to locate anybody you want in the world. So if you have anybody on your bad side and you don't want them to find you, do not tell them about this app.
Stay tuned for your local on the 8th Memorial Day forecast brought to you by Liquid Feed. Makes feeding as easy as watering.
No,
National Weather Service in Grand Rapids has issued a tornado warning for Ingham County in south central Michigan, Jackson County in south central Michigan, until 5:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. At 4:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, National Weather Service meteorologists were tracking a severe squall line capable of producing brief rain-wrapped tornadoes in addition to widespread straight-line wind damage. This dangerous storm was located near Bellevue and moving east at 70 miles.
10 facts you didn't know that could save your life. If your house ever smells like fish for no reason, 9 times out of 10 it's because there's an electrical fire. If you're in a foreign country and you need to call for help but you don't know the emergency number, call 112 and it'll automatically connect you to the nearest helpline. If a tornado looks like it's not moving, it's actually moving towards you. If you ever wake up to the smell of gas, don't turn on a light. A spark from the light switch could blow up your entire house. Lying flat on your back is the best way to survive a falling elevator. If your hair suddenly stands up, duck and cover because you're about to be struck by lightning. If you ever fall off the edge onto the tracks, don't try and crawl back up. There's a crawl space built to go underneath in case this happens. If a deer runs across the road, it's better to hit it than swerve into the ditch. But if it's a moose, then it's better to swerve into the ditch. Because hitting a moose is like hitting a brick wall. Even if you have no service, you can still dial 911. In an emergency, your phone will connect to the nearest tower. If you ever get kidnapped into the back of a vehicle, disconnect the brake light wire so the cops will pull them over, then kick on the door to let them know that you're there. 5 dream signs you shouldn't ignore. Falling. This means you're overwhelmed and out of control in a situation in your life. Being chased. This means you're avoiding an issue or a person in real life. Flying. This means you're ready to take a bold decision in life. Lost. This means you feel out of place or you're going the wrong direction in life. And finally, being naked in public means you have the fear of being judged. Unexplained mysteries caught at schools. In 1961 at Westall High School in Melbourne, several students spotted a UFO that flew at low altitude. It made its way through trees until it took flight again and disappeared. Another unexplained mystery is the strange stench that hit a high school in Rhode Island. The stench, which was apparently from the cafeteria, was so strong that they had to suspend final classes. But to this day, they still have no clue what it was from. The Cokeville miracle occurred at an elementary school, where a former police officer and his wife brought a bomb to the school. They kidnapped the entire school in exchange for a large sum of money. The bomb exploded and the couple died on the spot, but thankfully none of the children were harmed.
An Amber Alert has been declared. Repeating, an Amber Alert has been declared. The Allen County Sheriff is investigating the abduction of 2 children from Fort Wayne, Indiana. Liliana Hernandez is a 7-year-old white female, 3 feet 4 inches tall with long brown hair, brown eyes, and was last seen wearing a black nightgown. The lay pastor is a 6-year-old white male, 3 feet tall, short brown hair, brown eyes, and was